Na. Guess who's back? So what I got for you guys today, and let's start it out like old times. How you going, lads? And it's good to talk to you guys. And I'm in Warsaw again, so I'm still back in Poland. Beautiful country, enjoy it here a lot. It's winter now, so the weather is just fucking constant snow. But it's a beautiful spot, it's great here. I really like it. And I noticed that maybe it might change into the future, but I do very much enjoy it here. And I think that it's a great spot. And the people are brilliant. The Polish people are salt of the earth, I would say. They're very good. They're very nationalistic as well, which is not a bad thing at all in today's environment. I think that Poland and things like that should be for the Polish. And I say that as a foreigner. I think that a country, if you're a foreigner, you shouldn't expect to be treated as good as the locals. That's just the way that it goes, and that's not a bad thing. It's their country essentially, not mine. And regarding today, so what I've got for you guys today, I've got an AMA. I'm doing a snap one, so it's just going to be a just off the cuff AMA. I've got a bunch of questions, and I'm just going to answer it. I'm just going to do it in one take. There's no scripts. I haven't rehearsed any of what I'm going to say. Some of the questions are great. Some of them are a little bit surface level, but it'll be good because I often get asked, these are the questions that I often get asked quite a lot, so I think that guys will see the value and guys will enjoy it. And it's good to be back on YouTube. And I'm going to be looking to do more videos for all of you guys because I get messaged quite a bit. I get guys stop me on the street, guys talk to me about my content. I get guys talk to me about my TikTok, which is shadow banned now. So I get more guys probably talking to me from my announcement channel or my crypto group itself. So I have a members group for cryptos, about 140 members now, and my Telegram announcement channel, which is free. I post voice notes most days, so my takes on the market, but I also do some other stuff on mindset, fitness, gym, girls. I try to cover everything, but my members group is predominantly crypto. So if you guys want to learn more about that, join my Telegram announcement channel. It's free, so I don't know why you wouldn't be in there. I think that it's the best one. I think that the announcement channel and the value that I give on there is it's unrivaled for the amount of free stuff that I give, that I actually give myself. I don't have a copywriter. I don't have someone doing my audio clips for me. It's just my own stuff. Some of my calls that I've made in the crypto market have been amazing. I would say that most of my calls have been brilliant, but some particularly have been incredibly outstanding. So you guys will see when you join the channel, or if you are in the channel, that they've been epic. So jumping into the AMA that I have now for you guys, jump into it, and we can get started on the questions. There's definitely some good ones and some, we'll see. I've got a question now. My brother is a drug addict with a wife and child. So of course these questions are unfiltered. There's going to be, I don't mind getting in the mud with guys who have complicated questions because life is fucking complicated. Life is dramatic. Life is difficult. A lot of the stuff and my reach and my audience and guys that follow me, I really appreciate that they can just be like who they are. I respect that. They don't have to fucking hold back and, act like they're perfect or that life isn't difficult, because it's difficult for everyone. Even I have my own challenges. So it's keeping it real in this world, not trying to be a cookie cutter of someone else or something like that. We are all who we are, and everyone has their own cross that they carry in life. And this one, my brother is a drug addict with a wife and child. I don't know what to do because I'm the youngest. So the hardest thing with guys, specifically if they're younger and they have a brother, a lot of the time if their brother is a fuck up, in this case a drug addict, they feel like they have to fix the person, like they have to carry this person's slack, so to speak. And of course, what you will learn later in life, I assume that this guy is much younger than his brother. You can't change people, you can't change people so that they're just going to change back to where they were. You know what I mean? The saying that you can push a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. That's a real thing. And you can sculpt, it's like a river, right? You can push it down a certain way, but over time it's eventually going to find its own path again. It's going to go back to the way that it had started. You can't so to speak, sometimes helping others, and it can even be helping family. It ends up you kind of like set yourself on fire and your own future because you're investing all of this time and energy into someone else that, like, to invest in another person, you can't change them. Like, you're not in control of them. Like, you can't decide that he quits dope. Like, that's not your decision to make. You can't stop him from relapsing. You can't stop him. You can't tie him up into the basement for 2 years because then on the first day after 2 years, he can just jump back on the dope. You know, addiction is, as much as they say, obviously, that it's not like a physical thing or it's not genetic or things like that, I think that it definitely is. Some people get addicted much faster than others, and some people have that sort of a personality where they know that if they touch drugs or if they gamble or things like that, they can just get addicted. I don't think it has as much to do with the strong willpower as people think. I have a very strong mind in that I've obviously had a coke habit before and I've had a gambling habit, and I have been able to stop both of those. Gambling would be the hardest habit I've ever quit. But I think that it's also genetic factors and things like that as well, because I have seen other people who are incredibly strong in a lot of other ways, like veterans or army veterans or things like that, get hooked on painkillers and not really be able to stop when they have a strong mind. Like, no one can argue that their mind and resilience and things like that is very strong, but they end up with a very deep habit. Versus someone else who might use things recreationally and not really get hooked, like they don't really get the same addiction. I know guys that recreationally use drugs and they use the same amount all of the time. You know, maybe once a week they do the stuff, like take coke once a week or something like that, and they don't really get the desire to use it more than once a week. And then I know others who start on once a week and then before you know it, a couple of months later, they're doing it every day just to function. So I think that it hits many people different, like anything. You know, everyone's a bit different, but you can't set yourself on fire to keep this guy warm. You know, he's got a wife and kids, but they're not your responsibility. They're his responsibility. The best thing you can do is, in my view, lead a path. Like, you show him how to act. You know, you're doing the right thing. You're not getting in the shithole with him, because it's very likely that he'll just change you because he's the older brother. You know, he'll lead you down a shitty path and you'll take on a lot of his damage and all of that sort of crap. Like, you'll take on a lot of his bullshit, and it's not, you can't change it because you're not steering the ship. Like, you're not in his body, you're not in control of him. So it's the same with women. You know, you can only tell people what to do and things like that for so long. You know, they're only going to do it while it's beneficial to them, ideally, and then they're just going to go back to what they want. You know what I mean? And especially for him, because he has responsibilities. And if he's not doing them, sometimes it's actually better that he hits rock bottom, even if rock bottom may very well be the absolute rock bottom, like he dies of drug overdose or something. Like, this shit like that does happen. I've seen it happen before. So again, that's all murky ugliness that you don't really have to drown yourself in. You know, it's not to say that you can't advise him and, you know, say that you should stop and give him some advice or some help here and there, but you can't blow yourself up to save him, because it's not your responsibility. He's the older brother. He already has commitments. If he's committed to having a family and having a wife and he's on the drugs, like, he's breached 2 major commitments. What does it matter that he's got you there telling him not to do it? Like, he's already fucked over to his family, to chosen. You know, he's made choices that are very negative for his future. So I would think that a lot of what you will give him will just be wasted energy. Like, you're not the one steering his body or his ship. So my advice is give your advice, but lead a path yourself that gets you in a position where when eventually you have kids and you have a wife, you don't replicate it. See, that's the thing that people forget. They forget that one day they will have a family, and they get bogged down in trying to live someone else's life and trying to fucking correct other people's mistakes. They forget that eventually they'll have they're meant to have their own fucking life. Like, you're meant to focus on yourself. I know that people get so bogged down with family and things like that, if their dad's a fuck up or their mum might be, you know, not perfect, or many other things are happening. And sometimes they think that, like, they sacrifice their own future to try and put someone else back together who's a fucking adult. Like, do you really think that that's possible? And you're meant to become the man that's eventually going to have your own kids. So a lot of this stuff is they're just lessons. You know, I sat in a veterans hospital for 14 months and I sat around guys who were drug addicts, and I sat around guys who ended up, you know, suicide and things like that. And I don't sit there and fucking like, try to change them, because I learned then. I was 14 months in a veterans hospital, 24 hours a day. That's the shit that would have fucking broken 99% of people walking around. Veterans hospitals, it's very high stress. It's very tense. There's some people in there that are very sick, like major mental issues. And that sort of stuff can be contagious. So yeah, I didn't sit there and take a lot of their shit on board more than I could have, because I learned then guys would come to me with all of their issues and I would help solve them and things like that. Yes, because I was there, but I didn't take them home with me. I treated it as though like, this is not me. Like I can give advice and things like that, but it's not, if it's not taken, it's not taken. I don't have to live their life like that. I'm not responsible for their fucking outcomes. Like a lot of the shit that is just a segment of choices that they've made over the time. And sometimes it is bad luck and things like that as well. But that's not my problem. That's not my responsibility. As his problem is not your responsibility or your problem. You didn't create the mess. So to sit there and think that you have to spend the next 10 years or something cleaning it up at your own expense, that's dumb. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense. A lot of people have this like false loyalty to family. And of course you always have to be loyal to your family and that you'll never stab them in the back and things like that. But some people in a family can be a sinking ship. And if you tie yourself to that, you're going to sink your own life with them. Or worse, you'll just waste like 10 or 20 years trying to fix things or change things, and then you'll forget to live your own life. And it will be a very thankless existence for you. So that's my take. It's going to be, my takes is always going to be very different to the feel-good garbage that people will tell you, like, oh, yep, just be blindly loyal, never let your family down and all this crap. Because people don't fucking know, like they just talk shit. They don't know what it's like to have addicts in the family. They don't know what it's like to have fuck-ups in the family. They don't know what it's like to have real issues in a family. Not issues where someone talks poorly to you one time or something like that. Like actual issues where there's someone in the family that is just a massive drain on the rest of the people in there. So it's the stuff, that advice that I give is more real world. Like it's shit that your best thing that you can do is become incredibly strong. So then you can help him out from a distance later or something like that. Like if you focus completely on him and his shit, you're just gonna like be running at 10 or 20%. And who the fuck's gonna help you? Like when you eventually need it? He's not going to fucking help you. You're going to be on your own and you're going to fuck your life up on this sort of a quest. So that's my take. It's of course I'm sure very different and probably a bit controversial for you, but you need to hear it because that's the real fucking smack in the face of it. Got another question. Do you believe in God? I believe in some higher figure than us or a higher power. I don't necessarily believe in... I think that there would be more higher powers than us, than just one. I think that there might be many like superior people to us and things like that, or not people, but some sort of existence to us. I think that they could be gods to us because they obviously would be ahead of us. I think that if space turns out to be a real thing, then there are other planets and organisms and shit like that. Like it's not a big stretch to think that there could be many other planets that have life and things like that, and some would be superior and seen as some sort of a god figure. I think that religion is not I've given my take on religion and what I think. I think religion itself, anything run by man is flawed. I think that anything run by man is corrupt. And I don't think that religion like churches and shit like that are that good. I think that most of it, especially in the West, is just like it's just a business. It just keeps members there. They just water it down as much as they can to keep people coming in. I think that religion itself, outside of like Muslims and Islam and things like that, is perhaps on borrowed time. I think that Islam is spreading, and I think that it has a lot of benefits in a lot of ways and things like that. I'm not Muslim, but I think that Islam and things like that are being allowed to spread because it's part of the globalist push. Like they're flooding the fucking borders with certain types of people. And then I don't know what they'll do later. Like once they decide that their way of living, like the globalist sort of ideas and the euro, they don't really run together. Like they'll eventually collide. But I do believe, that there's definitely superior figures to us. I think that when you die, you go somewhere. I don't know if it's necessarily heaven, but I do think that I've had a few near-death experiences, including one really bad drowning. And both times I had, three times, but two especially, I had a religious experience. I had one where I drowned in a helicopter accident, so it was a simulator. And then I had as I was drowning, I fucking couldn't get out of my seatbelt, so I was drowned in the bottom of a pool, trapped in the machine, so it was on the news. And then I couldn't breathe, I suffocated, I couldn't breathe. But I had this, I looked up, and before I passed out, and I could see so I'm at the bottom of the pool, but I can see up, and I can see the top of the pool, there's lights coming in, because it had open windows at the top of the pool. And then I just saw this huge beam of light just hit me in the face. And then I had this big beam of light, and then a voice of a woman was telling me not to breathe, because that if I didn't breathe that I would make it. I didn't take a big breath because my lungs were fucking on fire. I was obviously suffocating, so I wanted to breathe. And then I didn't take a breath. And then they lifted the machine up and got me out. And I had to be brought back, but I got back and I survived. And then I had another experience where I got bashed so bad before then, and then I told this story before on a live stream. I walked back, so being bashed, face is fucked, eye socket was smashed, had an orbital fracture, but I had a lot of bleeding in here as well, so the orbit was fractured, but there was massive pools of blood running down, inside, so the orbit fracture was really deep as well. It was very hard to clean up. I still have very bad double vision in this eye. I have the metal in there. But I was walking back to the hotel after it happened, and I saw a woman probably 100 meters ahead of me that told me to follow her. This is in Cavill Avenue, it's packed with people. And then I walked back, followed her for probably 2 kilometers back to the hotel. Took ages. This is before iPhones and shit like that, and I was on my own. And then I got in, passed out, valet called the ambulance, took me in, I had to get surgery on my eye. They said there's a decent chance you'll lose your eye, it's completely fucked. And then I didn't lose it, come back, got the metal and all that crap in. A couple of days after, I come back to the hotel to pick up my bags and shit, pick up my stuff, because I stayed there. And then the hotel guy, I was he said to me, he's how did you make the walk back? How did you make it from Cavill Avenue to here? And I said that I followed this woman, the woman that walked into the hotel ahead of me. She told me to stay behind her, to not draw too much attention to her. And then they checked the footage, and he told me that there was no woman, that she didn't exist. It was all just a figment of my imagination. But without that person leading me down to the hotel, there's a decent chance that I probably would have passed out and maybe died, because I had a lot of internal bleeding in my face. So that's 2 pretty big experiences. The woman had a gown on. I now have that tattoo on my side since then. Looked a bit like the Virgin Mary, so I got that tattoo since then. And that's a meaningful tattoo to me. I think that people ask me what it feels like to die, to be that very close to death. I've had 2 times. One very, very, very close. And it wasn't scary. It felt like going home. It felt like that feeling where, I don't know, maybe you just finished school, or you've just finished work or something, and you come home and everyone's waiting for you. You've got your girlfriend waiting for you, or you've got your dog there, or something that makes you walk in and be I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. That's exactly how it felt for me. It felt like returning home, and that I was around friends, and that I was exactly at that very moment where I was meant to be. I've not really felt that since then. So it was a very strong feeling, and a very unusual one. I'm working on my fitness, finances, and mental toughness daily. Do you have any advice on shutting out the noise? I think that for most of you guys, most of you guys that are starting out, still building your value, you guys, as a rule, a lot of you guys don't know the difference between being educated and being entertained. That's your fucking biggest problem. A lot of you guys don't realize with the news and things like that, it used to be an educational program, the news, they used to show you what the fuck was going on in the world, but now it's about entertainment, they just show you the most controversial takes and things to annoy you or get you angry or get you interested or whatever. And a lot of the podcasts or crap that you guys watch, don't learn, you just watch guys that dance around and do bullshit. Like they're entertainers, they're not really educators, like they're quite different. Guys will talk shit about a professor and things like that, and a lot of them are crap, but the educational style, like that's how people still do learn. You know, a lot of you guys just learn a bunch of surface level crap, like listening to guys talk shit and be like, you need to do sales or drop shipping or all this other crap. Like a lot of that shit is surface level skills. Like they're not shit. Like sales can be a base skill, yes, if you learn it and actually master it and practice it for a while. But a lot of you guys like end up just doing these like middleman fucking jobs that someone from India can do, like a lot of online bullshit tasks like copywriting or some other crap. And then like it's a market that's extremely saturated. There's hundreds of thousands of people doing that crap. So it's not really a skill that like an eventually AI or something will wipe all of that out. So it's not really a base skill. You know, it's not like a trade. It's not like having a degree in something that you can actually use, like programming or STEM or something, like some sort of tech field that you can actually use. Even sales to a degree, even marketing to a degree, but you're actually in that field, like you're actually doing it for a job. You're not just learning a bunch of crap on like YouTube videos on how to do like the most surface level things ever that every other fucking retard in the world can do. So you're skilled, like you're competing against the whole world. And that's why a degree, most degrees are bullshit, yes, but some of the ones in STEM, they're very valuable because it's not fucking easy to get. Like it's not easy to learn. Like it's not easy to just jump in and sit exams for like medicine or something like that. Like it's not that easy. You know, there's a lot of shit, there's a lot of moats around that sort of a thing because there's a lot of barriers of entry. You have to have the money to get the degree, you have to be educated enough to pass it, disciplined enough to pass it. From a certain, once you get into certain types of medicine like surgery or something, you have to be from certain families to be able to progress that. It makes it that much easier. So yeah, of course, each area is a new moat around you. Whereas if you just learn some surface level crap off the net, like 9 million Indian guys can do it and they'll do it for a lot cheaper than you. Especially like, you know, it's like saying, I've seen a lot of guys jump on YouTube and guys will be talking about like labor is going to be, like guys doing manual labor will be a thing in the future. As though mass migration isn't going on. I'm in Poland and there's fucking laborers arriving here every day that will work for 10% of the price that you will. And if you're in the States, you got laborers arriving at scale that will work for 1% of the money that you'll work for. And they might not be as good as you, but there's hire 10 of them. So that's the concept, and they don't need all of the benefits that you'll get, and they're used to working under crappy conditions. Globalism and opening the borders is brilliant for companies, of course, because it crushes the price of the fucking average wagey. Like it floods the market with labor. Here, they open the borders for Ukrainians, and I understand that because of the war and things like that. But if you're working in a coffee shop and you're just working like a general job like coffee shop, restaurant, waiter, Uber, taxi driver, these like jobs that you still need some skill, but they're like not highly skilled jobs. Even like coffee shop, bar, probably security to a degree. You need, of course, some skill, but you don't need like a big education or a ton of skill. It doesn't take a lot of people a long time to learn that. And especially, and then other labor jobs like carrying tiles or like carpets and doing manual labor, like digging ditches. It doesn't need a lot of shit to learn to do that. And then they opened the border up, and obviously people wanted to fucking work. Like people have arrived here with nothing. So it's driven down the cost of labor because guys who run businesses are like, there's now an influx of fucking workers who need jobs today. So I can cut their wage fucking in half. Like I can, and might be able to get around the minimum wage as well because I can get them to work longer and under shitter conditions. I can push them and pressure them to stay back and do more shit than they're like, I can get a guy, hire him for an assistant, and then he used to work in fucking Kiev as a developer or something, and I can give him a shit kicker job, but also make him do development work. So that's how they fuck people over. That's how immigration and things like that generally crushes the more unskilled person. So when you have people jump on and talk about like labor and, you know, guys if they have a trade that's like a weak trade or something that's easy to learn, then they think that like all of that labor price, all of that will crash. Like that whole economy will fall. Like the cost of the wages will drop. The conditions will drop because people are willing to do all of that crap without healthcare and all of that stuff. Like they're used to working for shit money and in shit conditions and in dangerous conditions. So all that happens, yes, the development and things like that will be a lower standard and the people will suffer. but the corporations and that don't really care because they have insurance. So that's my general take on that. Shutting out the noise is that you have to admit that a lot of you guys just seek entertainment like it's a dopamine thrill. You have to focus on yourself a lot of the time. You have to watch like podcasts or something like that, yes. But a podcast, like watching me, is not fucking taking action. You know, you might get a small spike and be like, oh, I'm like motivated or something like that, and I understand that. And you should do it to keep yourself on task, because I'm hard on you guys. And I'm only hard on you guys because I care. If I just sat back and just danced and fucked around and looked like a goofball, I would get more views, but I don't want to do that. This is fucking dumb. It doesn't help anyone. But yeah, shutting out the noise just means focusing on yourself and your task, and you have to do that. Turning off the distractions, not scrolling TikToks and watching porn or all this other crap. Sitting in games and shit. And that's not to say that you can't play games from time to time. You know, not everything is an extreme view, one or the other, because then you'll just burn out or it won't be fun and you'll think that your whole life is just work. And that's can be problematic because you get like work, you end up hating work because it's not something that you, like it becomes your whole life. You have to understand that it's a marathon. It's not like a fucking sprint. It's like some of you guys think that you're 17 and you just want to be rich by like 19. And that's like very unlikely. You know, you don't have enough money to invest in crypto, most of you. You don't have like any skills to fucking take out to the market. Like your cost of your labor is fucking low. The cost of me is expensive. The cost of your time is fuck all because you're still a kid for most of you. And then others, a lot of you don't really have like high income skills either. You don't really have a skill that you can scale out. Many of you don't really understand the concept of scaling. So that's my take on that. Of course, I can elaborate if you need to. And other things, I mean, this will be a brief one. It's just a crypto question. What do I think of meme tokens? I think obviously meme tokens are fundamentally scams. Like, you know, they have no... That's not to say they are fundamentally scams, but it's not for me to decide if they have value. The market tells you if they have value in it. You know, it's not... I'm not the guy... The free market decides that. Like, it's not for me to say that Dogecoin should be... Like, it doesn't really have a lot of purpose. It's not for me to decide, like, Shiba Inu should be at $1 billion market cap. The market decides. That's the benefit of the free market. So I can't say that they're trash, but obviously, like, there's not really, like, value there. It's like Chuck E. Cheese tokens, you know. I mean, Chuck E. Cheese tokens you can probably redeem for shit. Dogecoin, I mean, yeah, you can redeem it into something else and maybe like that, but I don't think that there's really much value in the tech. Like, what can Doge do that other coins and that can't do better? You know, and Doge is the pristine one. You know, it's the biggest market cap of the shit meme coins. But then the others, you go further down, and if you go to, like, you know, influencers creating rug pulls and pump and dumps and shit like that, it gets even worse. You know, it's Doge at least has some tech. It has some history. It has, like, you know, some development. It has Musk that backs it. You know, it has some, like, I guess you would say, interest. Like, it has some value there, but it's all speculative. But it has something tangible because it has people behind it that are very rich and people respect, so it has some social proof. But other shitcoins pumped out by the influencers, I mean, that's all crap. Like, that's mostly just scams. Like, they're just dumping on each other and convincing their followers to buy garbage and then pumping it themselves and just enriching themselves and dumping out of the fucking thing and just eroding trust in the market. But meme coins, I think meme tokens will be a thing for a considerable time. Obviously, every layer one has its own meme tokens. You know, Solana, I think Base will have its own, AVAX, ETH, Bitcoin probably now when they got the BRC shit. BSC as well will have. So it's not for me to say that there's no value there because the free market decides that. But obviously, like, they're like pretty crap. There's not much tech. There's not a lot going on there. Best advice for a 17-year-old who wants to become a real man. I think it depends on what you mean by a real man. Obviously, everyone's intention, like everyone's thing, is a little bit different. I think that a lot of you guys just have to focus on being strong at that age. Like, I think that the best ROI, because your time doesn't matter. Like, when you're 17 and 18, for most of you, I mean, maybe there's a few anomalies, but your time is, like, worthless. Like, your time doesn't mean shit. You know, you can go and work for a fucking, like, Starbucks for, like, $10 an hour at best. So it doesn't really matter. Like, your time doesn't mean shit. So if you neglect working at $10 an hour at a Starbucks and instead do more time at the gym and get really strong or do boxing and things like that, that's a better use of your time, because then you can, when your time becomes more valuable over time, you don't need to sit in the gym for fucking as long, because you've already got a good body. You've already got strong when you were younger, and now you just have to mostly cruise to maintain it. Versus the other guy who slams up his high income skill and gets fat or something, or like out of shape. And then he's 30 and now he's trying to turn it around. And that's a lot harder because his time is valuable now. He's built his high income skill, and now his time might be worth like $500 an hour or a few $100s an hour. And now he has to try and turn it all around to get in shape. It's not that easy. I see it all of the time here. I see it a lot with money nerds, all of the fucking time. There's lots of those even around here. Guys who are focused on their business and let their physique or like, you know, their masculinity slide out the window. And physique and things like that, it's your presence. You know, it's a lot of that stuff is self-confidence, you know, self-confidence in that you can at least protect yourself. Like you look like you can at least handle yourself or throw your weight around. Like no one's gonna really fucking give a shit what you say if you look like a pussy, like a little bitch. Like that shit only works with other little bitches. When people like think that, you know, just because they have a bit of money or something that like that means shit. That only means shit to brokies, you know, but then other people fucking terrorize them. Guys like living in the first world that are fucking shit scared of minorities, because a lot of the like first worlders are fucking pussies. And then these guys come over who have been in war zones and like shitholes and pretty much just almost like make them their complete bitch. And then they shit themselves and are starting to live in fear. A lot of that is just because the guys in the first world, just a lot of fucking soft. Like they let themselves become completely soft. So then when other people come in who have lived in a harder environment, physically, they get steamrolled, like they get fucked over. And then they sit there and cry about it online. That's dumb. Like obviously that's going to become more of a thing. So you need to be able to handle yourself physically. I mean, you need to be able to handle yourself with firearms and shit. Like that's personal security is going to be a massive thing in the future. Like, do you really think that the police and shit are going to be having your back if you're poor as well? No. A lot of the shit the police is defunded. They're pushing for chaos. Like bringing in mass plebs. Like, do you really think that there's not going to be insane amounts of violence in the future? Pretty fucking obvious, right? Eventually it'll be like fucking Gotham City, and then they'll crank out some massive. But first there needs to be anarchy. Obviously. Anarchy comes first, which you have to survive. You don't survive it by being some fucking pussy and hiding in the fucking basement. Like you have to be strong. Like it's pretty obvious. You have to be strong first, you have to be proficient, you have to be good with your firearms, you have to be able to fucking shoot, you have to be able to protect your family. If you have a family, you have to be able to protect your shit. Like it's pretty fucking obvious. I don't know, a lot of you guys like maybe not see the shit that I see. I'm in Poland and it's still fairly civilized there, but I still travel and things like that. I mean, Dubai is very safe, but you go to like London, Paris, around Germany, you know, that's not that safe around there. You know, it's not that safe. You can't just walk around with like a fucking 50K Rolex on without some security or some sort of potential that there will be a problem. And the issue that you guys will find, a lot of the plebs, like the plebs that don't have shit, they're going to end up seeing the middle class and the upper middle class like get destroyed, because they almost the elites and things like that, like they're untouchable. And of course, once you get completely wealthy, you get private security and become fairly untouchable yourself. I mean, that's a thing. But before that, like all the middle class and upper middle class will drown in the mud, with the mud that's all created, like by all of the fucking like plebs and shit kickers and shitheads coming in. Like do you think the shitheads run around and fucking attack the politicians and shit? Like they don't live amongst the shit kickers. They don't run around on like walking around in public with shit to steal. Like they don't walk around in like without private security. It's going to be, I'm sure a couple will get smashed in the collateral damage, but it'll be much fewer. Like it'll be the guys in the middle class and the guys who are just above middle class, like the business owners who are like small business owners and things like that. Like they're the ones that will be targeted. Like when there's riots and looting and guys like run around and just steal constantly, the big businesses don't give a fuck because they have very strong insurance policies and things like that. It's only the smaller or middle guys that get crushed because they can't pay the premiums and shit after that. Like they can't just restock all their stuff and things like that. There's delays. It's harder for them to keep stocking up because they have to deal with insurance companies and shit if they keep losing stuff. Like the insurance company can owe you 100K, but they can take like a long time to pay you out and shit like that. Whereas the big businesses often have like 100 fucking little businesses over so many cities, and then obviously the funds keep still pushing money into them, so it doesn't really matter. You know, they'll just, like with the Dow or, you know, S&P, like it's only a few of the companies that make up the majority of that, like the Amazons and shit like that. Like they just mop up more of the supply as the average business owner goes broke, and then, you know, people think that's a good thing for companies to have a monopoly like that, and it's not. So for them, it doesn't matter if they lose a little bit in the short term because they're mopping up, like killing competitors in the long term. All of that goes to them. You know, they have a large cash position and shit that the company is worth $1 trillion. You know, it's pretty crazy how big Amazon's gotten. But that's life, you know, you got to be ready for that. You guys have no fucking idea the violence that's coming. You guys have no idea the violence that's coming for election year. Like some of you guys have your head in the sand. You don't even know, you can't even see what's going on. Like you really can't see that the globalists have opened the borders up in the States. Like you really don't see that it's a nationalist Trump against the globalists. Like you don't understand shit. Like you think America is just fucking America still. Like you don't realize that. I see guys celebrating that the Argentina guy is fucking like in, as though it's a fucking great thing that a World Economic Forum shill is on the fucking borders of South America, just opening his fucking gates to just flood all these fucking shit kickers through to the country with no documents. People have no fucking idea. It's so fucking dumb. And why do you think they're flooding it with all of these illegals? Because globalists don't want fucking borders? Like, you really think that? Because they know that they change the whole demographic? They don't need the best victory is the victory that you never fire a single shot. That you just change the demographic over a generation or two. Like it's America, to be American will be completely fucking different. It won't be like it was 100 years ago. And then it will just change more and more over time. And you change it from the inside. Like you take it over from the fucking inside. Like it's people are dumb. They don't know fuck all. Globalists will win because they control all of the platforms. Like they control all of the fucking tech. Like they sit together and they have all of the best devs. Like we're pushing into a tech future. It's pretty obvious, like where it goes. But people don't know shit. They just sit there and fucking think that, to a point, it doesn't matter who's president. I mean, one just slows it down and the other accelerates it, yes. But it's inevitable what's coming. You can't slow down, the damage is done. I'll continue going on here. Be with only one girl or date two girls separately. And I'm looking forward to your crypto project. Thank you. When I say be with only one girl or date two girls separately, it really depends. It depends on you. Depends on what you want. You know, guys will say, a lot of red pill spurgs don't know shit about women or shit about living a fucking fully functioning life as a man, which means that you do want to have kids and have a legacy and have like a woman, maybe not by your side, it depends on what you want, but if you want kids, you have to get on with a woman. Like you can't just have kids with a feral, or you can't have kids with someone that you're being toxic with. You can't have kids with someone that you're fighting with. You can't have kids with someone that's going to run off with your kid or use your kid as a bargaining chip to fuck you over. Like that's what happens with a lot of guys. They don't really vet the chick that they have kids with. They just fucking have kids one day by accident, or it just fucking happens, or time sort of starts running out and they just do it instead of actually like vetting a girl for if she's going to be a good mum. That's the fucking biggest thing. Like a lot of you fucking don't understand that the biggest thing with a woman is that she's going to be a good mother, even ahead of being a good fucking girlfriend. Like that, being a good mother is more important, because if she's a shit mother, like your legacy is going to be fucking destroyed. Like you're going to be sitting there all of the time stressing about your kid. Like your kid's going to be around ferals. Your kid's going to be around like fucked up people and seeing a lot of degeneracy and shit, especially if you break up. You know, being a good mother is the most important thing in a woman. Like it's the most, actually the very most important thing. So you should always look to see women that are actually good with kids and like kids and things like that. Like that's a big tell. I'd say that as someone who's 38 now. Like I've seen a lot of the shit. Women who are good mothers and like kids and, you know, want to be around them and talk about them and shit like that. Often that's very good. Like they're very green flags for like traditional women. It depends what you want. Maybe you don't want that. But if you want to have a good family that functions, you're probably going to want more of a traditional setup, because it's going to be very hard to have any structure otherwise. You know, if you don't plan it, or you go for like one of these modern age families where pretty much the government raises your kid. You know, having a family is planned. It's not something that you just fucking do. And then as for having two women or one, it just depends what you want. You know, why do you want two women? You know, like you have to answer that. Are you just trying to be a fuckboy, like, and just fuck as many girls as you can? Are you having two girls and lying to both of them? Or are you having two girls and they know about each other and they don't give a fuck and they're happy to be with you, and maybe it's some other thing like that? And that's fine, you know, if that's the way that it goes. But you can't maintain something by like deception for a long time. You know, if you're lying to both girls that there is no other, like that's gonna just blow up in your face, like eventually. The best route is the truth. And the best route is the truth early. You know, if you do want multiple girls, you should say. And if you did want two girlfriends, you should say. Some people won't mind that, some might like it. You know, of course, there are a lot of people that won't like it. There's a lot that won't tolerate it. But, and then having one, it just depends. Will you be satisfied with one girl? You know, like with your age and things like that. Are you looking for something serious? Or are you just looking like to experiment and things like that? Like you might be still very young. This might be your first girlfriend or second. You know, and in this case, well, you've said you got two, but in this case, it might be your second or third relationship or some crap like that. Just depends what you want and your time frames. But I'll say a lot of this shit, and obviously I'm the guy who says this. Like I'll be the pioneer of this statement, because I've seen other people start to say it. But if you fuck too many women, you will not be able to settle down. You will not be able to settle down with one girl. If you cross a certain threshold, I don't know what that threshold will be for you. For some it might be 20 girls, 50, others it might be 100. But if you're used to new women all of the time, you're used to too much sugar, like toxicity, drama, you're used to like threesomes and all this sort of shit, and like wild sex and stuff like that, you're not gonna be able to suddenly change your fucking brain, because you're used to this. Like your brain is now set in a certain way, like the reward mechanism is different, to now you're eating sugar. You're just eating fucking like, I don't know, like sherbet nonstop. And now you think that you're just going to switch to like meat and potatoes, but you've been eating sherbet for 10 years. Like you're going to go to that and you're just going to be bored. Like that's just the way that the brain works. You're going to miss what you had, and it's going to be very fucking hard for you to rewrite your brain, if it's even possible. You know, it's going to be very different. Like once you cross certain thresholds, that's something that the red pill nerds don't understand. Like obviously, because a lot of their shit is theoretical. They've never fucked 100 girls, so they haven't fucked 50. Or if they have, they fucked them in like a customer type thing. They haven't fucked them how they wanted to do it. You know, they haven't had that sort of like lust where the woman is after you to that point. But as a rule, once you cross certain lines, you can't, you just would be very, maybe it can be done, but I think pretty much impossible to be able to settle into something more traditional. Because I know guys will say that they're trad, but then they're like on Tinder fucking 3 or 4 girls a week. Like there's nothing traditional about that. Like obviously, like a trad guy is like more on the conservative side. Like he still has rules. He's not just led by his cock running around the world. Like that's not traditional. Traditional guys usually, like if you want a traditional girl, like usually you've got to be a trad guy. Like a lot of guys LARP as a trad guy, and then they're not. And then they just waste the chick's time. Like they'll tell the girl that they want all of this shit, and then they're like 30 years old, fucking 18 or 19-year-olds, but just leading them on completely. Like they'll find a good girl who just wants to, like, maybe she's only fucked like 1 or 2 guys, or a virgin even, and then they'll tell her that they want all of this shit, and then they'll fuck her, and then fuck her for like a couple of times, and then just cut her out. You know, and that's like they're creating the very fucking issue that they claim to be so against. You know, that shit is so fucking dumb. Like that's some of the dumbest shit that these red pill retards fucking like push out into the universe. That body count, low body count, low body count, and then they're just pumping and dumping these chicks. If they can get them, of course some do. So that's the issue. Like it's a lot of deception play, like telling girls that they want something long term and then they just really don't. And that doesn't really help society, like that shitting in the well that other people have to drink from. Because when you fuck a girl up like that, she's now entering into society. Like you fucked it for someone else. Like obviously I could fuck girls do the same shit every fucking day, but I try very hard to keep it like very like I don't try to do that. Like I don't really fuck virgins or shit like that. I don't seek it out. I don't have a fucking obsession with being the first to fuck a girl, because I know that if I don't want something long term, like that's not a good thing. Like none of that shit is incredibly selfish. You know, it doesn't help society, that sort of behavior, because you damage a girl that's like, you lie to her, that's innocent. Like you get a pure girl, then lie to her and lead her on and introduce her to all of that sort of crap, and then shake her up and then send her out into the world. Like her first experience is being lied to, because she thinks this guy wants something that he doesn't really want, or he'll say that he does, but he knows deep down in his heart that he doesn't want what she wants, and he still says anything to get laid. That's low value, and that's fucking the world up for everyone else. So that's part of the red pill crap that I don't like. You know, there's a lot of hoes out there. Like there's just genuinely a ton of hoes. Like why not just fuck the hoes? Like a lot of guys, retards like that. Like there's so many hoes out there that if all you want is sex, like why not just fuck the hoes? Why fuck girls that want different shit? Like girls who are very obvious that they want like kids and stuff like that. Like why would you traumatize people like that? Because then, and guys will be like, trauma doesn't exist. Well, it doesn't traumatize a girl to lie to her for fucking 2 months. And I don't tell her that I got 3 girlfriends. That's not going to traumatize her. She gets what she gets. That's dumb. Like again, it's just shitting up the world that other people have to fucking live in. You know, a lot of that stuff is so fucking stupid. Like it's juvenile. And it all falls over with that sort of shit. Like deception game is dumb. And then guys will turn around and be upset that, like, to a degree, a large part of the women's issues were created by guys. Like guys being deceptive and crap like that. And then guys buying, if they do have OnlyFans, buying all that crap and over-sexualizing women. And then being like, why are so many women like sexualizing themselves now? And then guys hypersexualized them and made them into sex objects to quite a large degree. And then women just profited off it. So that's pretty dumb. Most important lesson that I've learned in the last 30 days, I would say probably from launching my course, and it's this keeping an audience that's, see, like I said, it's the difference between being an entertainer and an educator. I'm not an entertainer. I don't jump on here and fucking like laugh and sing and scream and set all of these props up. I could buy every prop that I wanted. I could set an amazing podcast studio if I want. But I don't want to be like the glitz and the glamour or like Mr. Hollywood or some crap like that. I don't want a ton of attention. I would just rather have a bunch of guys that are like loyal. Like in my group, there's a ton of guys that are very, very loyal. They want to learn. They're respectful. They see the value in what I say. They ask me questions and I give my input and things like that. But being an educator and an entertainer, it can still be quite different. That's the thing that I've realized as well. I know guys that have millions of followers, or like, you know, they have a platform with 1 million followers, and they still doesn't mean that they make a ton of money. They either have to sell out their platform on Kick, they have to sell out for sponsorship deals, they have to do gambling promotions, they have to do promotions with OF girls, they have to do all of this fucking crap, smoking weed and all of this pillhead shit just to get sponsorship deals, and then that's their fucking business. Like their business is just being a fucking sellout and shitting their followers out, or like advertising leverage exchanges or this other crap. Like their business is just like eroding away their followers instead of educating them, because they don't have anything to fucking teach. Like they're teachers that they dance around like a monkey and fucking just talk garbage. Like it's just the most brain numbing content that there is. So of course they can have 10 million followers and I can have 10,000 followers and still have more money than them. I'm worth nearly $15 million. I've made nearly $4 million this year. You know, I don't need to fucking jump around with a banana in my mouth and dance around and sit with some OF bimbo and be like, trying to one-up her while all my followers are subscribing to her. Like, do you really, like, a lot of you guys don't see the fucking irony in that? Like, the OnlyFans chick is only there because she's being paid. Like, people are subscribing to her, sending her fucking cash. She's getting attention. And then she's only listening to this fucking nerd talk to her, and in some cases talk to her poorly because she wants a viral clip. Because she knows even if she looks like a fool, but it gets 1 million views, that she'll make 100K. Because the people will subscribe to her shit and send her money, and guys will try and simp for her. So it's actually quite disgusting like that. So I don't think that it's any fucking good for that sort of crap. You know, it's very fake. How to gain confidence? That's an easy question. Gaining confidence comes with competence. You know, it's just being able to trust yourself, that you've been there before, that you know what you're doing. It's like going in the boxing gym and you're not going to be confident the first time you walk in there. Like, you're probably going to get fucked up and bashed and battered a few times. But confidence comes from keep continuing to show up. I had times before my fight, before my boxing match, I'd spar, it's probably a year ago almost. I sparred and got my ass beat by like a fucking 18-year-old that was like almost 20 kilos lighter than me. It didn't knock me down or any of that, but I got fucked up. And then I remember sitting in the car after. I got in my car and sat in there, and just sat in there for like 20 or 30 minutes and didn't say anything. It didn't even start the car. I was just like, what the fuck happened? Like, how did this happen? Like, this guy is like 72 or 74 kilos. He's about 15 kilos lighter than me. And I was like, how the fuck? I just couldn't really like do a lot of shit. He was too fast and too experienced. And then it's only like returning after something like that. And I've had so many of those times in the army. I've had so many of those times in prison where something has happened and you have to attend again. That's where the confidence starts to grow, because you're building resilience. Like, you're building trust in yourself. You get knocked down, but you get back up. You know, and I say that as someone who goes to a boxing gym and understand that you're not in a boxing gym to be KO'd. I know a lot of you guys, or some of you, think that it's manly to be knocked out in sparring or something like that. Like, sparring is meant to be just trying to take each other's head off and get brain damage. And then obviously with brain damage, you grow into it. It doesn't start, like, you see the boxers and for 10 years or something, they're fine. And then they're not getting hit anymore. But then like they get to 50 or 60 and they slow down. Because you grow into brain damage. See, people don't fucking know anything. They think that just because they got hit really hard in sparring and 6 or 12 months after they're fine, that it hasn't affected them. But you grow into brain damage. That's how they slow down. Slow down with time. It takes a lot of time to grow into it. So that's the take with that sort of shit. You shouldn't be getting fucked up badly. You know, you should get hit, and of course you can be a bit dizzy and things like that. But you shouldn't be getting like really badly injured. That's to say that, like, and in being KO'd or like, you know, rocked where you're on the ground and you like can't get up or make a 10 count, that's shit that shouldn't really happen much. Like, it should happen like extremely rarely, like so rarely that you being KO'd, it shouldn't really happen, because it can do you like serious brain damage and things like that. That means that your sparring partner's not looking after you, and that's dumb. Like, that's just fucking ego games. Like, that's stupid. You're not meant to knock each other out. Like, you're meant to look after each other. He's meant to look after you, even if he's better than you, because there's someone better than him that can knock him out. And if there's no one better than him, he's not going to have any training partners if he knocks everyone out. He's going to have to fucking train on his own. So it's stupid. Like, that's just fucking dumb. People don't think like that. Is it safe to store crypto in a ledger wallet? I would say yes. It depends when you sign. Like, you know, you sign these, like, blind sign it. If you're like, you know, getting airdrops or like selling something on fucking Uniswap or something like that, if you're in a fake phishing site or like the front end has been hacked, you can lose your crypto. With the blind signing, they need to fix that. Ledgers, yeah, it's a bit fucking shitty like that for a company that's made so much money. Their wallet still kind of sucks. Biggest lesson you learn in life? You inspire me. I was on the block, but I'm changing now. I appreciate that. Biggest lesson that I learned in life, I would say I've learnt many, but let's say the biggest lesson for now relating to this video is you're your own man. Like, you don't, like, if you're born into a certain family or like you're born into certain things, and that doesn't necessarily define you. You know, some guys might be born and their dad's a gangster. Some guys might be born and their dad is a fuck up. Their dad's a drug addict, or their dad's like, you know, got a bad reputation, or your dad might be a fucking dentist, or your dad might be a psychiatrist or something. And you think that, like, just because people pressure you, or maybe he's pressured you or something like that, that means you need to be exactly like him. You know, it doesn't necessarily mean that at all. I think that it's always optimal that you learn from him and move into a path that, like, he cuts a path for you that's a lot easier, so you live like that. But for some people, it's very negative, like their dad is, or their mom or something like that. Their path is like a path of destruction, so they think often that they need to follow that. Like, I see it with some guys, if they're, you know, like gangsters specifically, and their dad is like, you know, in and out of prison. And then the son thinks that now he just needs to emulate that, like he feels the pressure. He needs to take off where his dad left off. But the cops like ride on him straight away because of his family name. And then when he goes to court, he already has that name, so he gets smashed. And then he just bounces in and out of jail for a large part of his life. You know, I don't think that's a good thing. It's not necessarily a good thing. A lot of times, like for those people, their name can actually be somewhat of a curse. Especially if their dad's in prison, like it can be very difficult for them, I know that. I don't say that it's something that's easy, because a lot of the decisions in life are actually quite hard to distance from that sort of stuff. But not being afraid either to move, you know, move away from people that, like, they're not suiting you anymore. Not being afraid to cut contact with people. Not being afraid to understand that, like, that most dangerous missions and, like, journeys in life are solo. You know, the hardest things that you'll ever do is solo. Like I've said before, if you've got cancer and you're sitting on a hospital bed and you're surrounded by 10 people that love you, it's fucking up to you. Like, it's all up to you if you get up and function. It's up to you if you survive. You know, it might be that you don't survive, but that journey from then to the end is like, it's just you. Like, it's all your responsibility. You know, like if you're stunned, you're boxing and you get stunned, like someone hits you and knocks you down, it's up to you if you want to get up, like in the fight. You can have 100 people all around you cheering on you, but it's going to be up to you at the end of the day if you decide that you want some more, or you just want to lay down and let it go. And that's the way that it is for a lot of the decisions in life. But you can't be scared to move, much like I said, move from a negative environment, or move or take chances and things like that. You know, and some of you guys have friends that are fuck ups. I know that, because I've had similar things. You know, some are good and some have been shit. But you have to be able to move away from that sort of stuff. Like, a lot of you guys attach yourself to so many anchors because you're stuck in the past. You know, a lot of you guys think that time matters. If you've known someone for 10 years, that you have all of this equity. You know, some of you are in a crappy relationship, but in your head you're like, we've been together for 4 years, so that matters so much. It should fucking be every day. Like, how you wake up. What the fuck is, like, is this helping me today? It shouldn't be fucking like you wake up and you're just like, yeah, but 1 year ago everything was good and now everything's shit. But, like, you know, for 3 years they were so good to me, and now they treat you like a fucking doormat for the last 12 months. That shit doesn't matter. Like, you can't live in the fucking past. You know, you have to, because it's not going to change. It's going to be your doormat for longer. It's going to take you a lot of time you don't get back. You know, so every day is a new fucking day. Say it with guys, if they're holding crypto, if you have 100K in a shit coin and it's sitting at 100K, would you reinvest that 100K every day? Because it's the same fucking process. Like 100K in a shit coin, even if it's all profits, every day would you keep reinvesting that same 100K because you can take it out? So your confidence in that project needs to be the same every fucking day. Otherwise, if something fundamentally changes, you need to be able to pull your capital out and call it. Same as with friendships, relationships, everything. If something fundamentally fucking changes, you need to be able to see and be like, hey, that's not right. Some of you live in the past. You'll be like, yeah, treats me like a fucking arsehole now, but like, used to be so good to me, or he loaned me some money 3 years ago, so now I paid him back, but yeah, he did something in the past, so now he embarrasses me in public, but that's fine. That's just how he is. No, none of that shit is fucking acceptable. Every day is a new fucking day. Remember that. How'd you get out of a really dark place? I've been getting chronic through suicidal thoughts. I need some advice. Respect. That's a good question. I've had obviously people would know, I've had a suicide attempt back when I was leaving the army. I had a overdosed on pills, Xanax, Valium and alcohol. I think that I would think that it was a suicide attempt, but it was also partially because I couldn't sleep. I had PTSD. I couldn't fucking sleep. I remember just going to go to sleep, and it would be like 5 or 6 in the morning, and I would almost be in a trance. And then I would think that I had fallen asleep for hours, but then I would be like, remember that I was just staring at the roof for hours, and then all of a sudden it would be time to go to work because I was in the army. But I had no sleep. And then I would be like, oh, fuck, I'm so fucking tired. And that happened like for this again and again. Like I was getting like maybe 1 or 2 hours sleep a night. And then all of a sudden I'm just like, fuck this. You know, I got sent to live on the barracks. My ex broke up with me. I had a lot of, I would say it's still a bit of a mutual breakup, but I was still in the barracks. And then I had the accident. I had a lot of shit happen in a very short time. I got served with a DVO from that ex, not for violence, for harassment. She said that I was texting her too much. My commanding officer and my warrant officer were on my ass because she would fucking call them and be like, Stephen's texted me, or Stephen can pick his shit up, or Stephen can do this, Stephen can do that. And they were harassing me because they were talking to my fucking ex-girlfriend on the phone. And they would be on my fucking ass all day. I'd be getting marched into their office and grilled again and again and again, and I had no fucking sleep. You know, it's a different level of grilling when you're getting it in the military. Like, it's not like getting grilled in the civilian world. Like the military, I was moved back to base. Like that, it is your whole fucking world. Like there is no escape. I used to have the military police coming down to see me like regularly. They charged me, or they were threatening to charge me for selling steroids on base. They were threatening to charge me for speeding on base on my motorbike. Just all of this crap, you know, all of this, like, I would say trivial shit. I mean, steroids exist in the army. Do you really think that I'm going to snitch on anyone that I may or may not have sold to in that period? So obviously I'm going to get fucked. So, and then there was a big scandal on that barracks for steroids. But obviously, like, they were fucking me over. There was an imbalance of power. I would get to work and have like military police come and harass me. I'd have my CO harass me, OC harass me, warrant officer harass me, sergeant harass me, and not just harass me, but march me into the office and fucking grill me. I'm one fucking person getting harassed by people that have a massive amount of rank, and some fucking cunt's telling me, oh yeah, your ex-girlfriend called me on the phone today. Like, this is a fucking warrant officer. He meant to be fucking official, meant to be on my team. He's in my unit, and he's bitching to me about my fucking ex. Like, whose fucking side is this cocksucker on? But that's the thing. My ex was attractive at that time. Guys are fucking fundamentally simps. If an attractive girl has a complaint, then everyone wants to investigate. You know, there was never a complaint of physical abuse. It was just a complaint of fucking harassment, crap, and texting and bullshit. But it fucked me over with that. And then I had the suicide attempt. Yes, I would say suicide, but I also needed to fucking sleep. And then I ended up getting out of the army, and it took me considerable time to find myself after that. I had to go to work. I had no money. I got out of the army with fucking nothing. Guys would run around and be like, oh, he was on army pension, all this bullshit. I had fucking nothing from the army for fucking years. Army fucked me over hard, which is fine, because I don't give a fuck, because I'm rich, and every other cunt that fucked me does not live like me. So that's fine. And I've gone fucking toe-to-toe with the military before. I went toe-to-toe on the 730 report with the fucking cocksuckers when they leaked my psychiatric records. I went toe-to-toe. I've been toe-to-toe with them a lot. Been toe-to-toe with cunts in the fucking unit that were harassing me, physically toe-to-toe. So I don't back down with these cocksuckers. And that's part of the thing that people can learn. Like, you can learn that from me. I never back down. I don't fucking run. I've had shit with fucking the worst people. The fucking military is terrible to deal with because it's all bullshit. Like, they're for you when you're in, and then they're fucking completely like about face, completely don't even want to associate with you when you're out. And when you're out in controversial measures, they tell other soldiers not to associate with you as well. So I lost every friend that I had. I had to move from Townsville to Brisbane. I slept on the floor in my mum's house when I got out. I had slept there for months. I had a fucking cunts message me all of the time, being like, oh, I'm still reading your psychiatric records from Laverack Barracks. They're on the fucking public thing there, public drive. And it would be shit talk about like my PTSD or like relationship issues or crap like that. And it just, when you're on your own and you don't have any power, you got no fucking money, you're sleeping on the floor, it's not that fucking easy to wake up every day and feel good about yourself. Especially I had no friends at that point. I'd moved to a completely different city. So I had to start from fucking zero. I started from the floor. So when cunts come to me and tell me shit's hard, like, I've had hard. Like, I know fucking hard. Within 6 months, I was PTing. Within 12 months, I was selling dope. Within 2 years or 3 years, I was making great money. And within probably, 4 or 5 years after that, I was in prison. So 4 years after that, I was in the army hospital for a year, 14 months, and then I fucking went out of there to go to prison. 6 years, but I did nearly 2. I got my parole. I fucking didn't do dope and be a fucking crackhead in prison. I didn't sit on the subbutech like every other dopehead. So I played it smart. I do whatever the fuck I want now. I have a life that the others don't. But that took a fucking lot. I don't have a life of shit that's being gifted to me. I don't have a life of just shit that I just fucking like woke up one day and everything was perfect. I've had falls and fucking shit that would break people, like destroy their whole world. People don't recover from the shit that I've been through. That's why people listen to me when I speak, because I know darkness and real shit. I know what it's like to be the shit on someone's shoe, the absolute very bottom of the fucking society. And I know what it's like to be somewhat near the top. So that's this thing that you have as a man. Like, it's not over. It's never over if you've got air in your lungs. Like, it's not over. I'm never over till I'm dead. Like I said, look, people have cancelled me, shadow banned me, been to prison, being exposed on the internet where people are like, oh, he's got DVs, he's done all of this shit. He's been to prison, he's done this, he's done that. I've lost deals that cost me millions of dollars because of that. I was running a fund. I got fucked off of that. But I'm not over. Like, I'm only over when I'm dead. Like, when I'm in the ground, that's the end. But until then, it's never over. Like, you can just keep rebuilding yourself, especially if you learn how to rebuild yourself from the bricks that people throw at you. That's a massive cheat code. If you can rebuild yourself from amongst the slander, and when people talk shit about you and people hate you and people post about your crap, that's why when people jump on and troll me, do you really think I give a fuck? Like, do you fucking see the shit that I've come from? I've come from the fucking gutter. Like, I'm from the absolute bottom. Like, when people say the bottom, I'm the bottom. I'm born in Traralgon. I was born in a town of 200 people, got bullied every day, went to 8 schools, got out of school in year 9. Well, grew up in Cranbourne as well, grew up in Glen Waverley. I've been to 8 schools, 8 or 9 schools growing up. I was only in school for 9 years. I was a new kid every fucking year in school. That people jump on and talk poorly, I don't give a fuck. I fucking sat in court with my mum in the back crying because the judge is reading out all of my DV shit, telling me that I pissed on a chick and shit like that. Like, do you really think that like someone's going to hurt my feelings on here? Really? Like, I'm incredibly proud of who I am and the shit that I've overcome, because that's all that we have in this world, Like, I didn't have a lot of the shit that I've done is solo. Like, I didn't have the network that I have now. I didn't have the friends that I have now. I didn't have the compass that I have now. I have great friends now that guide me and I can go to and ask questions and shit like that. But I never had that. My dad was fucking sick from when I was a kid. My dad was waiting for a heart transplant from when I was like 11 or 12. Every day he was fucking sick at home and upset, like pretty miserable house. My parents are poor, like they work hard and things like that, but they don't have money. Like, I'm not from a fucking life that's comfortable. I'm from a life of growing up with fucking zero friends. Like, I didn't know friendship until I was fucking old. I didn't know, like, that I'd never even kissed a girl till I was like 20. And the first time I kissed a girl, I got my head kicked in and my face smashed. The same night. Like, I'm not from a comfortable life. I'm from like the gutter. I'm from places like prison. I'm from standing in lines of waiting for your food and there's someone standing next to you shooting fucking Subutex in their neck. And like, I'm from sharing a cell with a guy with hepatitis and I would sit there and listen to him inject all night. Like, in the dark and fucking bleeding all over the place. And violence of shit that you couldn't even fucking fathom. Involved in violence, received violence, like people, it's not shit that people could really fucking understand. It's not like a reality that's a reality for YouTube. It's the reality of life. But that's why I know more than anyone that life is not over as long as there's air in your lungs. It's just not. You can rebuild yourself so many times. You can be Kevin Samuels, I used to talk to him quite often. I would say, he wasn't really successful in my eyes until he was older, until he was probably 45 or 50. He was educated, he was smart, he was adding value to the world. He was very educated, fucking well and truly beyond my education and professionalism and all that. I'll never be him. But he, in my view, was not successful until he was older. And by many others, I'm sure that they probably said he's too fucking old to ever be shit. And he become a fucking massive force online. I watched some of his old shit and no one used to fucking watch it. He was like dressed like, still had his style, but it was like there was nothing there. He fucking became that. You're not fucking born a star. Like it's all molded. Like it's like the shining the marble, you know, like you're both the marble and the sculptor is you. What you decide to make for yourself with that chisel is fucking on you. Like, you know, you're both. We're sculpting ourselves in real time. Every decision you make, like a choose your own adventure, is sculpting who you're gonna fucking become. Are you gonna sit around and jerk off and be a fucking loser? What do you do when you go home at night? Do you fucking just fuck around and goof off and think that like you've earned all of this fucking like relaxation? Or do you fucking do shit that's gonna better your life? Because it's just we're a series of our decisions. And cunts make decisions all of the time that fucks their future up. And then others make decisions often that sends them a check in the future. But that's my fucking take, guys. And I appreciate your support. I got a lot of love for you guys. I know that some people probably think that I'm too, you know, aggressive or that I'm a cunt on here or something like that, which is fine. But then so many people will see when they meet me and see me that I'm very approachable. I'm a respectful person. I'm a fucking mirror. All right, lads. Talk to you soon.